Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And welcome to the show, y'all. Check this out, y'all. This show is about greed, right? I'm going to tell you about one of the folks that wouldn't accept no for an answer, didn't want to hear it when you told him all money ain't good money. He wanted to get his however he wanted to get his, and that's what he ended up popping him in the top of his head. And let me tell you what he did. Back in the day, a lot of money exchanged hands, not through green money, but we had like money orders back then, right? Western Union money orders, postal money orders, things like that. That's how you got paid a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be getting paid from, somebody buying some drugs from you or somebody putting some money on your books for your family, friend, or whatever. It came through money orders, right? Now, you don't have a lot of that going on no more, especially now where you can put money directly on somebody's account through JPay, or you got Cash Apps, you got Venmo, you got all that kind of stuff now. So money orders, they're still there, but they're not used as widely as they used to be back in the day, right? But that was one of the main ways that money moved back and forth in the penitentiary. Now, bro is in the back on this compound. I'm not going to tell you what compound this was on, because some of y'all out there, you're going to figure out who I'm talking about. I talked to him the other day. That's what reminded me of this story. You know what I'm saying? And he really ain't tripping about it like that, right? So, when I was talking to him, I told him, because he was telling me about his son and how well he's doing and all this and that. And I was just joking with him. I said, you tell your son all the stuff you used to do back in the day? He said, man, no, I'm not telling my son what's going on back in the day. I said, no, you need to tell him so he'll understand you've been there and done that. You know what I mean? You don't want him to have this image of you like you ain't never done nothing wrong. So when the day comes and he might make a bad decision, you can correct him. And then it gives credibility to your story, man, because you've been there, done that. You know what it's like, right? He said, nah, I ain't ready for that right now. He's still too young for that. I said, okay, I respect that. But I said, I'm going to tell this story, and I want you to check it out and listen to my podcast, right? He said, bet that, folks. So anyway, this is what it was, right? Now, Travis, he had this police. And with this police, they used to do all kinds of stuff. Now, Travis also is an artist. I'm talking about when I say an artist, he was a dynamic artist. He could draw anything, any kind of portrait, anything you want. He was one of those dudes that a lot of the guys in here went to do tattoos. You know what I'm saying? And because you could describe something to him and he could hit it up and it'll be better on the paper. What he would draw would be better than the idea that you gave him. You know what I'm saying? He was that good, man. So anyway, with these money orders, what they used to do back in the day, what he used to do and a lot of other people used to do, you could get $1 money orders, right? $1 money orders. And you know how a check looks when it gets printed off, and if you still get check, most people get direct deposit, I know. But whenever you get a check, if it's been printed off a computer, right, and not written by hand, it looks distinct. You know what I'm saying? You know how the numbers look on there? That's how a money order would look, with the zeros on there and all this and that, right? So what Travis would do, he had this officer, and he would go by him, you know what I'm saying, at the post office, but these were at the post office. So I'm going to stick to story about the post office. He would have this officer go by him these $1 money orders from the post office, right? And then bring them into him at the prison. And when he would bring them into him, he would also bring him this stuff called acetal. And acetal, he would take it and he'd put it on a real light. Take some toilet paper or Q-tip, whatever. But he put it on a real light. He didn't want it to eat the paper. He just wanted to eat that ink up. And I'm talking about, look, he'd be sitting there and he would take that stuff off and he'd blot it dry, blowing on it, getting it dry. He wouldn't want the paper to get destroyed, messed up, right? Because it would mess up what he was trying to do. Okay? So here's what he would do. Once he would take the information off of there, he'd leave a 1 on there, but then he'd put 2 more zeros on there, then the decimal, the small zero, to make it look like that $1 money order was now a $100 money order. Okay? So he would do that. He'd have 50, 60 money orders at a time. He's doing this. So do the math. Do the math. You know what I'm saying? He was having bread. He didn't have to sell no weed. He was getting it like that. You know what I'm saying? And then he would give the money orders to this officer, and he'd tell the officer to go pop them at different places like banks or always go out of town. He told this officer, always go out of town and pop them. I didn't understand that. You know what I'm saying? Why he would tell him that. And it's going to come to light later on. You know what I'm saying? Because when I was talking to him, I got a little bit more detail about the story, right? Because he never really told me at the beginning, you know, back in the day, why that was important. But I'm going to tell you in a few minutes. So anyway, this officer, man, look, let me describe this officer. You have some officers that work in the penitentiary. They come in, their clothes are ironed, boots are spit shine and clean, and they're well groomed and all of this kind of stuff, right? And you can look at them and you can tell that, you know, this dude here, this officer, this female, if it was a female, they have pride. They take pride in what they do. But this particular officer, listen to me when I tell you, this dude would come in looking rough, like he been out partying all night or either in the parking lot at the prison, sleeping in his car, whatever the case may be. Sometimes he would come in, and I'm telling you, you wouldn't know if this man had taken a shower or not because you could smell his arms and breath would stink. He was just one of those dudes that was just laissez-faire about life. I don't know how he kept the job for as long as he did. So anyway, he's doing business with this dude. And one thing I've always paid attention to, when you do business with people, pay attention to how they get on with their hygiene. You got to pay attention to that. Because if a person's not paying attention to their hygiene, then it's somebody that doesn't pay attention to details. Listen to what I'm telling you now. Somebody that doesn't pay attention to details is not somebody that you really want to be doing business with that could hurt you. Okay? So anyway, he tell this officer, always take the money orders out of town to cash. So this particular officer, he would always come back with the money. Whatever he was telling him he was doing, or so it seemed, he'd come back with the money. They chop the money up and everything would be good. They just start all over again every week. They was doing this every week. I'm talking about getting $5 and $6 grand a week doing this. We out here at the penitentiary where we was at this time selling weed. We're not making it like that. Not every week. We might make that a month. He's making it every week. I'm talking about getting that bread. But let me tell you something. Them postal money orders, that's them federales. Y'all know what them federales is. So they always looking. They trying to figure out what's going on. And they're good. Now, it's one thing about people in the penitentiary, right? People in the penitentiary, we're all in this computer system called NCIC, right? That's a database. Fingerprints, mug shots, criminal history, aliases, everything is in there. But see, folks were smart. Anytime the officer came to him to give him the money orders, he had gloves on. And anytime he gave them money orders back, he had gloves on. He never touched them with his naked hand, ever. So it was nothing to connect folks to the business. He was smart like that. But this officer, I'm not sure. I don't know how they get down with officers as far as people working in law enforcement, but I would assume their fingerprints are on file somewhere. But anyway, that's going to be important later on in the story. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but you'll see what I'm talking about. So anyway, they've been rocking this thing for months, getting money. He's sending some of the money orders out on the compound to some of the guys that want a piece of that action. I didn't want none of that action. I didn't want to try nothing like that. I might do some checks or something like that, but I didn't mess with nothing like that, right? And that's another story. I'll tell you that another time. But anyway, one day, I happened to go in the back to holler at folks. He asked me, will I take some of the money orders out there and give them the big folks for him? I'm like, where your guy at? Why your guy can't do that? You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get into that, right? And he said, well, this, that, and the third or whatever. So he gives them to me. I said, I got you. He gives them to me. They're already in an envelope. I put them in my pocket. Get back to the compound and give them to folks. You feel what I'm saying? I ain't thinking nothing about it. I ain't touching. You feel what I'm saying? I ain't got nothing to do with that. But when I gave them to folks told me, he said, man, officer such and such, man, I heard they stopped him up there when he was trying to come in to work. I said, what, he have any dope on him or something like that? Folks were like, nah, I don't think he get out like that. He just be dealing with folks Travis in the back, man, and, they doing what they do, right? I said, you think he got popped or something? He said, I don't know. I don't know how he would, even if they did stop him with some of them in his pocket. What can they say about it? I said, man, I don't know, man. I don't know nothing about none of that that's going on. I ain't got nothing to do with that, right? So we went on about our business. 2 or 3 days go by. This officer don't show up to work. He ain't coming to work. So now, everybody's wondering, man, did something happen to him? Now, they start talking. In the penitentiary, man, it's like being in a little bit of town. Everybody know everything. You feel what I'm saying? And then you got some of the officers that work at the prison. They might be hating on another officer, or they just want to talk. They just gossip. You feel what I'm saying? And they might be trying to find out what's going on the compound and might be able to connect to whatever happened to him when he got stopped trying to come into work. So gossip is in the air. I'm talking about all kinds of stuff. He got caught bringing in weed, got caught bringing in liquor. All kinds of stuff is popping up. But don't nobody know really what's going on. A few days go by, he popped back up to work. And everything's going good, but he looked different. And let me explain what I say when he looked different. Because you got a lot of people that don't pay attention to stuff, right? They don't be paying attention to stuff. And let me tell you what I mean by that. When a person's in trouble and they know the heat is on, they got this certain look about themselves. They try to remain calm and look stealth, but it's a nervousness. Their eyes look shifted. You feel what I'm saying? They're too stiff. They're not as relaxed as they would normally look. Jaws is tight. Eyebrows always looking serious. You feel what I'm saying? This is how he was looking. And that wasn't his normal look. It was almost like, man, what's up with you? And he didn't talk as much as he used to certain people. He didn't talk as much. He was real serious and intentional about what he would be talking about. He getting specific about certain things that he normally wouldn't be talking to people about. You feel what I'm saying? But he would ask certain questions. So anyway, I ended up going in the back. And I was talking to folks. I said, man, you might want to steer clear of Officer such and such, man. Something ain't right. Something ain't right about this cat, man. Folks were like, no, he's straight. He'd already been back in hollering, man. He'd been out sick. You know what I'm saying? Everybody trying to say this and that about him, like he done got caught up or something like that. My dude was out sick. I said, bro, listen to me, man. You need just slow down for a minute, man. Just take some time, take a month or two off, and let it do what it do. He didn't want to hear that because, he's sending money home to his gal. He's sending money home to his mama. He's sending money home to everybody. He's living good. He's penitentiary rich and all this and that, right? Back there on close security, he got everything. House full of commissary. He just living large, you know what I'm saying, for the penitentiary anyway. And he didn't want to cut back on none of that. You know what I'm saying? This made him feel like somebody. So check this out. I tell him again before I left, slow your roll, bro, before you end up in too deep. All money ain't good money, man. You feel me? He said, Joe T, you just spooked, man. He said, man, you do you and let me do me. I said, man, GD that, folk. GD that. I ain't going to say another word about it. Not near another word. So look here, check this out. A few days later, we hear about it. Feds got him. They all in the back. Got Travis hemmed up. Got his cell. They shaking it down. He done had this officer bring him in $51 money orders. All of them in the cell. After he done changed a few of them, right? He done altered a few of them. You feel me? Now this officer done woe in a while and got folks talking about the business. What they was doing, how much money they was making. He ain't even taking, into account that this dude don't need to be asking you how many did we do last month and the month before last. He should know that. Folks done back there just kicking it with dude like he just ace boom coon, just super straight. He the feds. He wore in a while. Now folks done gave him all the business. So then he signed up for a legal advisor, right? And I was on the legal advisor list. So they let me go back there and talk to him. You know what I'm saying? And about, because he caught a case. They charged him. They charged him, man. Altering them money orders, man. Fed. You get 5 years for each one. Each one. You feel me? So I go back and I'm talking to him. And he gave me the bid and he telling me what's going on. I said, listen, folks. This ain't the time to say I told you so, dumbass, but I told you. I told you to leave that dude alone, man. He said, man, I ain't trying to hear that right now. He said, man, look here. Them folks done offered me 5 years for all of them money. I said, look here, man. It don't take a rocket science to figure that out. You dirty. You guilty. You take that 5. Take that 5, man. And then he, on top of that, he told me they're going to let it run concurrent with the time he already doing. So he probably wouldn't even never end up in the federal penitentiary. It's going to run the same time his state time was running. I said, it don't get no better than that, man. It don't get no better than that. I said, take the 5. So he ended up taking the 5. I said, what's up with dude? What'd they do to him? He said, oh, man, they gave him probation, gave him probation, fired him. He can't work in law enforcement no more. I said, I told you, dumbass. I said, I told you. But here's the question I got for y'all. Why do you think I'm telling you this story? Because I started out by saying all money ain't good money. All money ain't good money. And sometimes, man, when you're doing some things, that you ain't got no business doing because you done told yourself that you need some money to pay the rent, you need some money to buy some shoes, you need some money to go to this concert, or your child needs some money to do A, B, or C. Well, let me tell you something. Your child needs you more than they need that money. If you don't go to the concert with your own money, them folks at the concert ain't going to miss you. You're not missing nothing. If you can't afford it by paying for it with the money you earn at your own job, don't do it, man. Don't do it. Now, folks didn't end up at the federal penitentiary. You feel me? He didn't end up at the federal penitentiary because his time was running with what he had in the state. But he could have very well ended up, and they didn't have to give him that 5 years like that. But see, they could have hit him for 5 years for each one of them. Each one of them. And he did dozens of them. Dozens. And also he had to pay a big old fine. I'm talking about a 5-figure fine. They lit him up on that. All that little commissary he had on the shelf, he couldn't even get no money put on his books no more because they were taking that, paying off that fine. That money dried up real fast, Dried up real fast. All I'm saying to you is this. Ain't no right way to do wrong. So get your money the right way. Get your money the right way. In the long run, it's going to pay off for you. You feel what I'm saying? It's going to pay off for you. It's been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I said peace, y'all.